All right, welcome to Humpdays.
Welcome back, Humpers. We're so excited.
Quiet on set.
We are going to be talking about the documentary Quiet on Set. Let's be real, the future is effed. The world is currently on fire, and now our past is tarnished, our childhoods, the nostalgia stripped away. This documentary is crazy. And also, Dan Schneider's new interview is out. That highly scripted interview.
It was a bit of a puff piece.
Where he denies all allegations, but insists that children love feet jokes. Like, he's like, it's all the kids who love
He deflected all the blame. But the biggest problem we have with this docuseries, we have a big problem. The biggest problem we have is that they went after someone that's already been exiled from Hollywood.
Yeah. Dan's gone. No, not Dan, sorry.
Well, Dan is gone.
Yeah, Dan's gone.
Dan hasn't been working.
Yeah.
This is just, yes, we're going after someone. Yes, Hollywood has its problem, but we're going to go after someone that isn't working right now. Mm-hmm. It's a safe route.
There's got to be other ones under the surface.
Oh, for sure there is.
There's got to be. And we're suspicious because, like, none of the people in the ring of Hollywood were even brought up, right? Like,
yeah.
Ariana Grande, zip. Nothing from her.
No comment.
Jamie Lynn.
Oh, and there's a huge rumor with Jamie Lynn Spears. So Jamie Lynn Spears...
They didn't even address that.
The Jamie Lynn Spears rumor is that Jamie Lynn Spears got pregnant, and a lot of people are speculating that it may have been Dan Schneider.
Yeah.
But Jamie Lynn Spears is plugged in with the Spears family, who's trying to control Britney Spears, which is an empire controlled by another giant conglomerate in Hollywood.
Yeah.
So don't go after that, because then Britney might get her conservatory.
They exactly. And I feel like or Jamie will get
Jamie will get
her check cut off, right?
Yeah, Jamie will.
Although I think it already
the whole family
is.
will be cut off.
I think that it is, maybe, but I don't know.
Well, they're still trying to get it back from Britney.
Yeah.
So it's going to be ongoing. And Britney's still doing all those dances with knives. So it's just like, she will probably get her money back. But the whole docuseries was like not putting anything down. Like what Dan Schneider did was terrible.
It's gross.
It's gross.
It's
like
weird.
The feet pics.
Yeah.
Of all the feet pics, the feet videos, the Ariana.
Just so much feet.
So much feet. And
Ariana Grande videos, those were crazy. Like we'll put them up, the water squeezing. I don't know if, I mean, I feel like everyone's seen it by now.
The
but
potato.
It's not possible! Come on! Give up the juice! Go!
Squeezing the juice out of a potato and being like, just hyper-sexualized situations snuck into the gags of the jokes.
The gags of the jokes.
That he insists, again, kids are like, he was just like, oh, the thing is, those jokes are jokes that the kids loved. It wasn't me.
It wasn't me.
They loved being slimed. By the way, slime, we don't want to get demonetized.
Yeah.
So we're going to use slimed instead of merschweshed.
Yeah, schmetophiles.
Yes. So slimed is the code word for this episode.
Yeah.
But yeah, slime was involved a lot in really weird ways. There was like scenes of Jamie Lynn being, squirted on in the face by slime.
Yeah, there was a lot of cum jokes.
Oh my God, the one that was so sad was the little black kid.
The black kid.
He's the only black kid in all that, because this is the 90s and you can only have one, I guess.
Yeah, token black guy.
Yeah, and he gets put in a horrible situation. He gets called Nose Man.
Nose Man, and his costume is he's in like a skin tight costume, and he has this giant prosthetic nose on his face.
Giant
and then
nose.
The prosthetic nose on his arms
are
right on the
some
shoulders.
big black noses.
Yeah.
Okay.
Some BBC. Some BBN.
BBN. And he's got I'm sorry. Like this nose is like right down his arm, and the nose is like 3 segments, right? Like these parts of the nose in the middle, and then the joke is that he just keeps shooting out things out of his nose at random women.
And the joke in that sketch is effectively a shot joke.
The thing is, like,
onto their face.
the thing is, like, if that wasn't done by a child, that would be one of the funniest sketches on SNL done by Kenan Thompson.
It would be cancelable now.
That would be Kenan Thompson's funniest
now.
sketch on SNL in years.
They were like making all that was like, we thought it was the kids SNL, but it was really like SNL. It was like an alternative for like people who love sliming kids.
Yeah.
Like,
those Hollywood people, those Hollywood scoundrels that like sliming kids.
That's got to be one of the top moments that stood out that was shocking that I haven't seen before.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Josh.
Yeah, Josh. Well,
or Drake.
Drake, sorry, yeah.
Drake.
No, Drake.
You keep saying Josh now.
I always get those two mixed up.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, like, with Dan Schneider, is like, he was just, like, he was a terrible boss. And I think it's the fact that, like, he's just this fat guy who's never been attractive.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden he gets all this power and people start looking at him like he's attractive. Totally. So he starts acting like he can do whatever he wants. And that's what he did. He just got drunk with power and he starts bringing people in. Hey, give me a massage. I'm going to write myself into these sketches where, like, I'm basically God. I'm basically, like, I'm going to put myself in this hot tub with Amanda Bynes. I'm going to spend all my time with her. And what he did was very creepy and offsides. He was a very creepy man who was just drunk with power. And because it was the 90s and you can't say no. And the biggest problem with that is the fact that these are actors. So, I mean, if you get fired and you can't work in the industry, it's not like that translates to another job.
Right.
You're just going to be a server for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
It's not like you have a degree in anything and it can translate over anything.
And they didn't have influencers or stars like that now. So, like, it's interesting how nowadays, like, first off, there would be a phone to record the guy getting massages every week, right? And they would just post a compilation and get him fired. But also, they would be able to switch to that in the future. So now there's, like, this whole group of Disney stars, and that's kind of why this documentary came out, was because of this movement of Jeanette McCurdy and her book, I'm Glad My Mom Is Dead, kind of going through her abuse that her mother gave her as she was a child star growing up and navigating everything. And then now there's, like, Christina Ronaldo, I think her name, Christina Ronaldo. She's in Austin. Would love to have her on. Big
love
fan.
to have you on. Big fan.
She's so cool. But she has her whole podcast started with other, like, Disney stars. And there's all of them kind of coming out with this piece, right? Allison as well. She's come out with a whole series that's exposing the industry. So this is a hot topic now because it's a moment where you can kind of exit. But back then
you could.
it was very different. And so, like, these allegations are real. They're life-ruining things that these people have been through, for sure.
Yeah, if you speak up about how creepy someone is, you're difficult to work with.
Yes.
So then you get labeled difficult to work with. The mom was just such a pain in the butt on set, being like, hey, why are you putting my son in a leotard?
Yeah. With giant noses
You're hard to
on
work
him.
with.
You're hard to work with. Like, this is hilarious that the little black kid has the biggest black nose.
He has that big giant BBN.
Yeah, and kids, as Dan insisted in his recent interview, these are jokes that kids thought were so funny. A
loved
big
it.
nose
Yeah.
guy.
Well-
Shooting it out at everyone, sneezing on everyone.
Yeah, sneeze on everyone. But, like, what they barely touched on the guy who did the illegal sliming.
Yes.
Like, it was
That's
just like
such a weird thing.
That's the biggest story.
They're, like, continued to work in Disney? Like, why
Yeah.
is this?
The biggest problem with this documentary is that they bury the lead. Like, that's like the third, fourth episode in. So it's like, you just talk about how this boss is inappropriate, and he is. He's a creep. He shouldn't be working in Hollywood.
Yeah.
But you wait to the third or fourth episode to talk about this guy,
The real shit.
the real
Who
stuff,
slimed Drake.
who legally slimed Drake.
And this is the first time Drake has talked about it
First time.
publicly.
But this guy has been around for a while. So
Yes.
the biggest problem is, like, this guy was in All in the Family. He was a dialect coach. But those video clips of him being so handsy with Leonardo DiCaprio. And
Leo, as you know, is the latest, hottest, hunkiest teen idol there is.
Yeah, muscles.
Look, speaking of hunky, huh?
Yeah, we draw drawings of each other. Brian is the famous artist, and we always make fun of each other and portray each other in silly, satirical ways.
Leo's job on this set, for some reason, is to make fun of me all day long.
them just being lovey-dovey with each other. Like,
breezed over.
just breezed over. They didn't even reach for comment with Leo.
Yeah.
It's just like, at least say, because at the end of every episode, they say, oh, we reached out for comment for this. This is what they said. They didn't get back to us.
Yeah.
Nothing about Leo. You didn't want to reach out to his people? Because that would have been pretty dangerous. That was probably, you can make this documentary, but you do not touch Leo.
Yeah, why? Why do you think that is?
Well, because Leo is part of Leo doesn't get his hands dirty with anything. Like it's just like he has a squeaky clean image.
Yeah.
And I think that might be why, where it's also message to everyone else, where it's like if you play ball, you might become Leonardo DiCaprio.
Right.
So like that's what the whole thing was, where when that poor kid, which one? Now I got messed up. Drake Bell.
Yeah.
That poor Drake, when he reported everything, like, hey, this is what the guy did to me. There were 50 stars that came, well, not stars, but like 50 actors and people in the industry that came up with letters supporting.
In support of the Slimer.
Yeah, Brian Peck. In support of Brian Peck. So Brian Peck is the real story.
Yeah.
Because he represents the problem with Hollywood.
And he got put in one little episode, and now the focus is on
an episode
Dan.
and a half.
And it's like, we get that Dan was a creep, but it's like, it literally went from like, this guy was putting foreign objects into our beloved Drake Bell.
Yeah.
To then the next scene being a horrified, long, drawn out episode just about massages.
Yeah.
And it's like, which one is like Dan giving massages, or are we actually just like done with this guy? Like he continued to work for Disney and the story's over.
That's
it's
how
like,
the story ends. Oh, then he got.
How many of these guys are out there?
Oh, he got sentenced because of all those people writing letters that he got sentenced to like a light sentence, and then he went to work for Disney.
It's suspicious, and it's not like this episode is like what we're trying to do here is be like in defense of Dan Schneider.
No,
That's
no,
not
no.
what we're doing, but we're just like curious if this guy might be a scapegoat.
Yeah, I think he is because he's no longer working in Hollywood. And same with the other guy, he isn't working. Brian Peck, he's also not working in Hollywood.
Brian Peck isn't now.
Brian
Peck. Yeah.
Both of them aren't working.
And then
in
there
Hollywood.
was the guy that was attractive that was also luring people into.
Yeah, he was luring people in.
Total
three
guys
people.
that they were
safe
focusing
to
on.
go after. Not a bigwig. Not working in Hollywood. Everyone can talk about him because he's not going to ruin anyone's careers.
Yeah.
So it's not like Hollywood is getting better. They're just throwing us some crumbs because we're all upset. We're all upset. Like, hey, we all know what's going on behind the scenes here. Like, you had.
They're giving us this so that we don't focus on the new round of
round,
creeps, basically, that are actively in there.
Yeah, because it's like when Harvey Weinstein fell, it wasn't like they cleaned house. It was just, okay, the seconds in command go up.
Yeah.
It was like everyone just goes up the chains. There wasn't any clean sweep. It wasn't just like one bad guy doing things. It was like everyone was doing things. So, but the problem with the Drake Bell thing was like, which was very interesting in the interview with Dan Schneider, because it was a puff piece. Like the interview with Dan Schneider, it was a puff piece. He was accused of just not being nice to the black kids on set, so obviously he has a black guy interviewing him.
That's right. And this very scripted, very planned out interview.
Very planned out interview.
Where he cries.
He cries.
All of a sudden, this guy is an actor.
Not a good one. He was
After
a
watching all these
it's
child
so bad.
actors.
It's just like turns out like crocodile tears like 10 seconds and then goes back to like.
I was seeing people joking as well about him being on Ozempic. He got ready for this film with Ozempic because he does have his chin is significant. His second chin is like significantly reduced.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and he had like freshly dyed hair. I'm like, I don't get guys. That's like a total side note, but I don't get why guys like dye their hair completely like black at a certain age. Like it just looks so bizarre.
Well,
Everyone has their insecurity, you know. Like
it's true.
I think it's also
People-
like
you
you don't want
do
to be
you
seen.
guys.
You don't want to be seen like a creepy old man.
Sure.
Like that's it. Because if he had gray hair, like, well, that's a creepy.
well,
old
then
man.
don't slime people.
That's
You know?
yeah, well, that's the thing. Like it's like
Maybe don't do
slime
that.
children.
Like,
Yeah.
it's not the hair dye,
Don't-
man. Like, it's not the hair.
I dressed up all in Nickelodeon vibes, 90s Nickelodeon little outfit.
Yeah.
Now it's like maybe like mildly inappropriate. I'm like sitting here, I'm like, maybe this isn't the right
Dan would love it.
vibe for this. Yeah, Dan would.
Brian would love it.
Yeah, but then he'd see your ID and be like, "No, too old."
True.
Yeah.
True.
Because you're 21.
Much.
You,
I'm
you
safe. It's so nice. Like that's the benefit, guys, of aging. Like you get past a certain disturbing cutoff.
Yeah.
Anyway.
You just get creepy DMs from rich Indian guys.
Yeah.
You're just a different kink now.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that's true. Now it's entering MILF category.
Yeah.
Actually, speaking of that, we are of childbearing age.
Yeah.
Would you allow our children to be in like pageants or showbiz?
No.
No. Well, how are we gonna know if they're like hot in amongst their peers? Like, when comparing? Like, How will we
That's
know?
true. If an illegal Slimer doesn't give your daughter a ribbon,
Ugly.
ugly.
And then that's fine. Like you can kind of figure out what life you're gonna help them through, you know. But yeah,
Help them develop a personality.
No, I agree. No, like it's just after this, it's just like it's not even worth it. The chance of them even being okay at the end is like, I don't know. It's like one Hillary Duff out of like 1,000. You know?
Yeah, one Hillary Duff.
And it's not
out of
even like,
1,000
oh, some of them
Drake
make
Bells.
it and the other ones just lead normal lives. It's like, no, like they're slimed and like ruined and go down a horrible path. And then one or two make it. And even
At
then,
what cost? At
Yeah.
what cost?
I know.
Are they actually unscathed? Mm-hmm. Are these people that actually rise to the top? Do they not have certain trauma that they had to deal with? Like
Yeah.
all these people that,
Yeah.
because there wasn't a Weinstein list
Mm-hmm.
of like who was there, but it's just like a lot of them did win Oscars.
Yeah.
Like a lot of them did go on star in pictures. They made $20 million a film. Mm-hmm. A lot of them were coerced. Like
Yeah.
there's a story about how Gwyneth Paltrow was coerced, and Brad Pitt like threatened to knock him out when they were dating.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Coerced by like a person in Hollywood that was working with
No,
her?
Weinstein.
Oh, Weinstein.
Yeah, Weinstein tried to coerce Gwyneth Paltrow, and Brad Pitt got involved. Yeah.
Another reason to like Brad Pitt.
If you
Yeah,
if you
go
needed
Brad.
one, if
He's
you needed
made
one.
it. He's like one of the ones that has made it the whole way. Gotta respect him. He's made the right choices
Yeah.
to work for. Seems cool.
He's probably the one. That's
But who
unscathed.
knows?
Yeah.
But who knows? We never know.
Well, he wasn't.
Looks into the distance.
Well, he wasn't.
He's
He wasn't a
great.
child actor. Like he actually came up with the Brad Pitt thing. Not to get sidetracked, but like with Brad Pitt, it was kind of cool. So like when they got into Hollywood, the people living in the same house was Brad Pitt, John Hamm,
Oh my
Jason
God.
Priestley,
God.
and who's the guy that plays Ant-Man? Paul
Paul
Rudd.
Rudd?
Paul
Yeah.
Rudd.
Oh my God, they're all turned out great. So they were
I
a
love
team.
Paul
So
Rudd.
Paul Rudd was saying like, yeah, so these three guys were like heartthrobs. So like they'd bring girls home and I'd have to make them breakfast in the morning.
Here's the breakfast boy.
That sounds about
That's
right.
hard.
Because Jason Priestley was
That
like,
might be harder than being a child
Jason
star.
Priestley was the biggest star in the 90s because of 90210.
Wow.
That's hilarious.
But so like that's kind of like their intro to Hollywood. Like they're just actors looking out for each other. Like they were bros.
yeah.
Yes.
So like I think that's why they kind of saved them a bit because they had each other. But like so they didn't start out as children, which is just a terrible thing because like your whole family's dependent on you to make this money. Because
Yes.
your mom, you have to be on set, so like your parent has to not have a job. And even that one kid was saying like, yeah, like I'm sticking here so to get my family out of the hood,
Yeah.
which is like a lot of stress to have. And
Yeah.
for someone like Dan Schneider just like not care about that, that's why he's a giant piece of shit. So it's like not saying anything's bad, but like we need to talk about this fucking Brian Peck guy
Yeah.
who's just so terrible because like he's obviously been a predator for so long. Because that's why I think like there is this part in the docuseries where they talk about how he was after he slimed poor Josh so many times.
Yeah.
Like he just got obsessed. with
Drake. Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, after like him and Drake's relationship got started, inappropriate relationship got started, like Drake had a girlfriend. He was over at his girlfriend's house and he was supposed to hang out with Brian Peck.
And the mom knew.
Yeah, well the
mom
mom found
knew right
out
away.
because this guy just kept calling his phone and he wasn't answering. He
And he's
looked
like,
nervous.
you're supposed to come to Disneyland with me.
Ew.
Why aren't you at Disneyland with me? You're supposed to come to Disneyland with me.
But it wasn't on
And
the
then
cell
the
phone.
mom was like, what is this 50-year-old guy doing this?
Well, the creepy part was that he found the girlfriend's house
Yes.
number,
Yes.
started power
Yes.
calling the girlfriend's house
That's
number,
important. Yeah.
power calling the girlfriend's house number.
Yeah.
Until he just gave in and just talked to the phone, and then he just looked so nervous. It was like, what? And then the mom found out, hey, you got to tell me what happened.
Yeah.
And that's how the beans got spilled. They immediately called the cops. Police reports were filed. They even had the guy on tape. Like they got
Yeah.
him to call him, and the guy breaks down and just admits to everything.
Yeah.
Everything.
And then these letters are what got him off, even though there was like ample proof.
Ample proof.
Like
Literal.
ample proof.
Literal evidence that would
Yes.
put any mobster away for years.
Yes. Yes.
Like that was like that
Like
actually
that is the real story. It's
yeah, like that
crazy.
actually brought down a president. So it's just like like Nixon. Like it's just like if you record a guy admitting to crimes, it can bring them down.
Yes, but then the letters said things like, and these are from prominent Hollywood stars that are working currently. They were saying things like he was tempted. I think. Like,
Yeah,
he
they're
was
like, he
just
was
tempted
tempted.
beyond what
It's
he could.
so
by
out of
this,
character.
like,
He was tempted.
So out of character, and I'm like, that's
still
an
did it.
admission.
He still did it. He still did it.
He was tempted, but he was talking about sticking objects. He was sticking objects up.
And he had proof. Like
the-
there
he-
was
'cause he
probably
admitted it.
photos of it. Like
Well, not
who
photos, but like he
knows?
admitted to using objects.
Yeah. Oh, he admitted it. Yeah.
To using
yeah.
objects.
Yeah.
Like stuff like that. So it's
Yeah.
just like how are they tempting you to do
What
that?
the fuck are you talking
Yeah.
about?
But the thing is, like, the people that they picked to write letters were people like, because now, like, you're right with social media, it's just like you can kind of find your own brand. But like back in the '90s and early 2000s, it's just like
Biggest stars.
you just get pigeonholed in a role. So it's like these stars that were just finishing up or just finished up a series run, don't have any work. Like the two actors from Boy Meets World, that series was done. They're done being actors, don't have any roles. Alan Thicke from All in the Family, who was a dialect coach with Leo,
Yeah.
wrote a letter saying, "Oh," but they all said the same thing. He was tempted. So someone had.
suspicious.
So it's so suspicious when it's the same thing. He was tempted. So someone in Hollywood had to be like, "Hey, if you have his back, we might help you. You scratch his back, we scratch yours." So 50 members of James Marsden, the guy who's in X-Men, Cyclops, acts like he's this good old boy next door vibe. It's
They
like
all
no.
do. That's
They
what they
all
all
do it.
said about every Predator. The guy who is like the attractive one totally breezed over because I guess they just don't have enough. Maybe it was the wrong star
Yeah.
or whatever. But and like the Josh one or the Drake one, Josh got off lucky. Josh was bigger at the time. Who knows what would have happened to him if
Yeah.
he was the hot one in the two.
I think he looked too much
But-
like Dan Schneider, and everyone just wanted to like. No one liked Dan Schneider.
Mini Dan.
Yeah, but he also has a podcast that's super cool. They actually kind of the guy who plays Josh, I think his name is
Josh Peck.
Josh Peck. Okay, so they played themselves. It's confusing.
Oh, yeah.
But he goes into detail about other kind of abuses and
Yeah.
allegations from his mom and everything.
Well,
They've all had a
apparently
hard time.
Drake abused Josh.
Oh, really?
So it was like I feel
Yeah.
like Brian abused Drake and then Drake
Yeah.
abused Josh.
They have
Yeah.
they have
It's
beef. They don't like
super-
each other.
It definitely affects how you
Yeah.
go about. Yeah, like people who are slimed, they go after other people too. Like
To cope,
it could
I
be like
guess.
Leonardo too, but Leonardo's
Yeah.
being very careful about
Well,
19.
19 to 24. 19 to 24.
Yeah,
19 to 24.
and it's like he's almost like too confidently letting people know about it.
Yeah. Now it's like coming out. Oh, that's why it's
It's like,
19 to 24.
Yeah.
You've learned from Brian Peck and R. Kelly. Like, he has to be 19 to 24.
1924. But this guy, so there was the guy that was, a little bit more attractive, and the middle guy, the guy we were just talking about. What's his name?
Dan.
No,
Oh,
Brian, and then Dan, right?
Brian and
Yeah,
Dan.
yeah, yeah.
And they, what was I gonna say? Dan and Brian. Oh yeah, if you had to be slimed by one of those three, which one do you think would be better or worse? It's all bad. Please know that it's all
Oh
bad.
my god.
Am I doing the sliming or like getting the sliming?
Getting it.
Getting.
Probably Brian, because I think he has the smallest dick.
Yes.
No, I'm just joking. I don't know. We'll have to cut that out.
I guess I'd pick the hot one.
We picked as a girl, but it's just like I find them all unattractive.
But
so
then
it's just
wouldn't
like,
that ruin and give you PTSD for any attractive looking in the future? Although people do tend to go after what they had the trauma around too.
Yeah.
Yeah, at least they're hot.
Yeah.
Well,
like with
yeah.
Ariana's pick recently, it could be that Dan did something to her.
Yeah,
Because why else would she pick the
Well, people are
SpongeBob looking
speculating
one?
like her relationships and how long they last and stuff, and like people are just speculating that that's kind of how she copes with whatever happened to
Yeah.
her. It's just like she can't keep a man.
Oh, that's
I mean,
like-
sometimes they die, but like,
Fuck.
Rest in peace, Mac.
That one was horrible.
that
That's
was
like a horrible
messed
loss.
up.
He's awesome. Like,
Yeah.
wow. That's, yeah. Anyway, yeah.
Hurt people, hurt
Speaking
people.
of which one you would prefer, all of them have a persona. Well, that's what I was going to say too. All of them have a persona of like the best guy ever. So much fun. Like,
Yeah.
it's always those guys. It's never like a guy that's dressed weird in a corner, like making it obvious, you know?
Yeah. So it's someone like smiling.
He's
Yeah.
a friend. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's what like okay. So like going back to Dan Schneider's rebuttal, like it was basically a Puffy's him deflecting, saying, "Oh, had I known, like I feel terrible, like oh my god, that's not the real me." Basically, that's what he's saying. They didn't even ask him about the feet, but there was two very interesting things that were said in that interview. First, he said, "Everything that I shoot has to be approved by L.A. and New York," and they loved it. They kept saying, "Do more of that."
Yeah.
So that tells you that they love that stuff because they're also into that stuff. And also, what also was very interesting about it was like because also, what's his name? Drake never really said anything bad about Dan.
Yeah.
They tried. Like even Drake said like they tried to get me to say something bad about him, but during that process of this guy, like me trying to go after this guy, like he helped me go after my speech and what I was going to say on the stand. Like he coached me, and Dan Schneider said that. So that's the one thing I'll give him props for, is that you helped this kid out in his time of need, and that kid had to go on the stand, say his speech to 41 of the 50 people that wrote letters.
Yeah. That's right.
For 41 of the 50 people that wrote letters for Brian Peck.
Right.
So these people, your peers, are basically the same age as you and maybe a little bit older.
On the opposite
On
side.
the opposite side as you. Don't even have your back because they're desperate for a career in Hollywood. They got that little carrot dangled, like, hey, if you shut your mouth, you might, get another
Or
job.
they've done bad things and it's a blackmail situation.
It maybe with an Alan Thicke thing, because his son's kind of done a little things himself, Robin Thicke. So it could be the apple might not fall far from the tree. But with the other child actors,
Yeah.
it's just like they're like, hey, some people that play the game. If you play the game, you might become the next Leo.
Yeah.
That could have been what happened. If you play the game,
And these parents are putting all their livelihood on them and everything. These parents are not innocent. Like there's stories about like confirmed stories from child stars saying that Dan and his executives would have adult free parties. So the parents would literally consent to dropping them off and leaving, pool parties, and they were shoeless. So the whole funny gag, again, that the kids came up with, I'm sure, was how funny would it be if we weren't allowed to wear shoes at this pool along with these adult stars?
Leave your shoes in the car, kids.
Like, this is an invention. Like, we definitely going to grow up having shoeless parties with our neighbors and our associates. So I think these parents are kind of part of it.
Well, I mean, it's like that's the thing where it's just like you could have said it was part of the times, like people were just like, because one of the number one shows in the 90s was Baywatch, and none of those shows had plots. It was just like someone's drowning in the ocean, Pamela run in slow motion, go get them. Like that was the plot of every episode, and that was the 90s.
Go get them. It's uneven terrain.
Uneven terrain.
Sudden drops. In slow mo.
And then now we'll add Carmen Electra. Carmen, you go with her.
Carmen,
David Hasselhoff, take off your shirt and tell them they did a good job.
This is going to help inspire so many women growing up to know that they could also rescue people.
Yeah, so the 90s were all like pushing envelopes and like, screw the conservatives and, we're all just... But like he was just a terrible boss. But like that Brian Peck thing is the fact that he got a reduced sentence.
Yeah.
And then immediately got hired with Disney.
Yeah. So we want to know what's under the cover with Disney. I think that's the big exciting thing next. There's a lot of these Disney stars starting
But the thing is, like, will they be allowed to go after them? Because
they sign NDAs. I know Miranda Cosgrove did because she hasn't said anything. She's an iCarly star from Nickelodeon, and she was recently on the Trash Tuesday podcast, and she didn't say anything. And they were like, Miranda exposed, but it wasn't like you expected it to maybe be about this topic, but she actually didn't touch on it at all.
Yeah.
So I think she is completely like silenced, and Ariana too. It's weird that she hasn't said anything.
I think that it's okay to not say something if something did happen. So if something did happen, then you're not obliged to say anything.
Sure, that's true.
And
probably something did happen.
But I think it's like if you saw something and you don't say something, then that's bad. But if something did happen, then you should just lay off them.
Yeah.
And I think it's just like, I think that's okay.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I did, and I paid my dues. This is what they offered me. I'm one of the biggest stars in the world.
Yeah.
Just leave me alone. Like, and that's fair. What do you think?
Yeah, I absolutely agree.
Like when you sell, like, because it is Hollywood. Like now we're finding out people sold their soul to the devil.
Yeah.
Like that's what it is. That's what, because that was like
Just with the Diddy and this and this.
Diddy and
it's all
this,
kinda coming
and also
together.
like these kids that get on these shows, because like you watch them, like, oh, I want to be on that show. They look like they're having so much fun, and the parents see that and like, oh, these kids are having so much fun, because nobody knew behind the scenes at all. Like
everyone whose kid's idea it was, they usually are good parents, and
Yeah.
they actually like stand up for their kids. The ones who are like, this is a good opportunity for me to
Yeah.
get my kids excited and into this and lure them in. That's where it goes a bit wrong.
And that's what was so heartbreaking about the Drake part was just like,
He was loving it.
his dad
His
and
dad.
him, they were just bonding over like, oh, you want to be an actor? I'm gonna take you to auditions. We'll go over lines together, and they were just
Having a great time.
having a great time. But
auditioning,
then
and
you know
it
that
just got
that
ruined.
father alarm was coming up, where it's just like, I don't trust this guy. I don't
Yeah.
trust this guy. And then he put a wedge between him and his dad. And like that was the saddest part about the whole thing. Where
It
it's just,
seems like they're more solid now too.
Well,
and
definitely
that's
more
why they're
solid
okay.
now,
It's not
but
like
it's
the
just-
Amanda Bynes situation where she just went like absolutely off the rails, right? And she's having a really hard time. She's trying to start a podcast and do a nail business or something like that now, but she was just like exceptionally
please
talented.
do a podcast.
She
Please.
did.
Like,
She did one episode. Yeah, maybe we'll have to listen to that. Maybe that's our next episode, is to really dive into Amanda Bynes. But yeah, I don't know if there's anything else. We should probably wrap up.
Yeah, that was our recap
Yeah.
of the whole Dan Schneider,
Yeah,
Brian Peck, Drake Bell, and
Quiet on Set.
Quiet on Set
Expose.
expose.
That was nuts. Yeah, I feel like we were maybe a little inappropriate at times, but forgive us. We're a comedy podcast.
This is
so
a
I don't
comedy
know.
podcast. Don't get mad at us, Leo. We totally have no problem with you doing what you did or didn't do. But I know you did it. You dirty dog.
Peace out.
Peace.
Subscribe. Watch
Subscribe.
our episodes.
Watch
We
our
love you
episodes.
guys.
Peace.
Happy Hump Day Humpers.